Welcome to episode number 283 of the Marine Layer podcast. The Mariners lose the series to the Mets. They've now lost 4 of the 6 games on this road trip. We'll react to it and discuss whether or not we're concerned with the results or not. There's also been some other crazy things happening around Mariners land this weekend. We'll dive into it all in this episode.
Your guys' reminder, if you guys want to stay on top of everything we're doing, it's all at one spot for you. Just one spot, and that's our website. It's marinelayerpod.com. Really easy to find. Really easy link, and there's everything there between our episodes, between our Patreon, between our live show schedule, which, reminder, our next live show is this Saturday after the game over at the Hall in Occidental. It'll be a post-game show. There'll be a bunch of you down at the park already. Just stop on by afterwards. We're going to hang out. We're going to take your questions. We're going to talk ball. It was really fun the last time we did a show after the game by the ballpark. We're doing it again on Saturday. We would love to see you there. So that's over at our site. You can also check out all our merch. I'm wearing my hoodie right now. So that's over at marinelayerpod.com. We love seeing everybody wear it around. So everything is over there. And then you can find us across social media at Marine Layer Pod.
Let's get it rolling.
The pitch from Acevedo. A drive deep to right field. Down the line. The Mariners win this game 2-1. The dream lives. They're going to the playoffs. One more from Jansen. There you go. Left field. We got a tie ball game. Julio. Oh, baby, what a moment. Tie ball game at 7-7.
And we welcome you to this episode of the Marine Layer podcast, part of the Just Baseball Podcast Network. Recording here on Sunday evening, August 17th. Let's be honest, Lyle. You were kind of jealous of the Mariners getting to slide down that hill in Williamsport on the cardboard boxes, weren't you? Weren't you?
Oh, so jealous. So jealous. Dude, it was nothing but my overarching dream growing up to go to Williamsport. Literally nothing but an overarching dream. And honestly, yes, I was jealous. There's no other way to put it. I was incredibly jealous. That is such a cool event and such a cool environment.
Which field would you rather hit on? Like, let's say I give you I give you a BP session, and you have 2 choices. You could either hit on the full-size field, but you're not guaranteed to hit a dinger. Or I could let you hit on the one the Little Leaguers play on with the hill and see how far you can hit it up there to relive your dream.
Oh, I'm hitting at Lomity. Are you kidding? I'm hitting at Lomity. It's not even close. What's the meaning or the sentimental value behind the field that they play these games at? Nothing. It's just an old baseball field. It's fine, but it's just a small, basically minor league ballpark. No, I'm going to Lomity. By the way, there are 2 parks. Show some respect to Volunteer Field as well, which is right next to it.
I don't have that information memorized like you. Sorry.
It's fine. So Volunteer Field is basically where all the international games get played in the bracket, and most of the U.S. games get played over at Lomity, which is the famous field and the field with the hill. Yes, I'm hitting at the Little League Stadium even now in my mid-20s because I'm going to hit a nuke to the top of the hill at this point, and it's going to be like the coolest thing ever, despite it only being 225 feet.
We went to Williamsport, Lyle and I did, in 2019 when we were driving across the country to our internship in the Cape League. I did have to have Lyle show me around for what most of the things are, what the stadiums were.
Oh, I'd never been there, but I knew exactly what it all was. Yeah,
you did. I'd watch the games on TV, but I didn't know the names of the stadiums. I didn't even know they played the international teams and the American-based teams played games at different stadiums until you told me when we were there.
Some of the games intertwine, I guess, once there's less and less games during a day, and once the tournament progresses on, all the games get played at Lomity, because that's the main field. But, yeah, early on in the tournament, it's the international side that plays over at the other stadium, Volunteer Field. But, yeah, dude, that was such a dream of mine growing up. We had a really, really good team for it, too. But we only got to... we still lost in our district tournament during our 12-year-old All-Star year because our district was one of the best districts in the state of Washington, which also had Mercer Island in it, which is who we lost to, who ended up the year before going all the way to Williamsport, and that year getting all the way to... They got to the state finals and lost to Auburn, I think. But we had a kid, and maybe you'll hear this, shout out Connor Johnson, but we had a kid who threw legitimately 80 miles an hour, maybe more, as a 12-year-old, and was hitting 370 something foot nukes as a 12-year-old. He was, I say this to this day, he is the best Little League player I've ever seen in my entire life. But he was only one pitcher. We didn't have it. Like, you always need two pitchers in a tournament like that to really progress. But we only really had one that year.
You weren't pitching?
Oh, I wish. I was, again, similar to the high school baseball team where I always say I was a glorified cheerleader. I wasn't quite that on the all-star teams growing up, but I was close to the last guy on those rosters. I was always one of the bench guys, but in Little League, you still have to play, so I would get in a bat every game. I play a couple innings in the field. But no, I was not pitching, believe me.
There was the kid, which team was it for this tournament? There was a kid throwing 82, which, it was an 82 at 45 feet, the equivalent of 107?
It's something like that. It's really hard. I'm telling you, this dude who I grew up playing with and played high school baseball with too, when we were in Little League, he did not get hit. He was throwing no-hitters on the daily.
That's crazy. I remember in our Little League, we did have one player like that. I don't think he ever played All-Stars, though. I'm going to be honest.
Was he always a travel ball kid? Is that what it was?
Yeah, he was travel ball. He made varsity as a high school freshman, started as a high school freshman on varsity, super good. I don't know if he went and played anywhere, but he was huge. He'd hit his growth spurt super early. Always the best player on every Little League roster we played in our entire North Central Little League. And yeah, our league never really made it anywhere. We weren't as stacked as the kids over in Kirkland.
Yeah. Again, so somebody that I know will hear this. I mean, so Connor and I have been friends a long time, but somebody that I know that the two of us know, or maybe he'll hear it himself, will hear this. So yeah, shout out Connor Johnson. While we're on the topic of Little League baseball, shout out to him. Unfortunately, the Mariners were not throwing no-hitters and hitting nukes in their game at Williamsport. No. They did really misplay that fly ball. I mean, it was really just a lack of communication. I think that was Dom's ball. I don't know if Julio.
It was probably Dom's ball. Julio's going to be aggressive in center because he's a fabulous defender in center field, arguably the best out there, probably second or third best behind Denzel Clark and PCA. But regardless, so good that he sometimes deserves the benefit of doubt to be aggressive. But in that one, he fucked up. That was a mistake. And to let the inning go on longer, and Kirby was already getting hit pretty hard, and he got the fly ball he needed to I think that would have gotten him out of the inning, and the Mariners instead messed it up. And kind of typical of the first 6 games of this road trip, Lyle, where the details weren't really dialed in. If I want to be a little bit more frank, instead of just making some cliche gesture about the team that they played like a bunch of Little Leaguers, they haven't been that dialed in. Well, I saw Brock tweet this out, and I totally agree with it. I didn't feel like the details were all down these 6 games. First 6 games of the road trip.
All right, so maybe that part's not playing like Little Leaguers, but if you feel like there was a little bit less execution of the small details, that's fair.
It was just a layup. I mean, they're literally playing in Williamsport.
I know.
I'm not going to throw that out on a random May Mariners game where they lose. Let's say the first series to the Orioles where they got swept at home. I didn't bring it out then. I had to bring it out for this occasion instead.
Because they are playing in Williamsport in front of a bunch of Little Leaguers.
Because they were playing in Williamsport in front of a bunch of kids. Also, can I mention something to ESPN, please? I'm so happy these kids have the opportunity to ask questions to the players mid-inning. But if we're going to put someone on the mic, can they be ready? Ready to ask the question. Do you remember the first... I'm not trying to make this a trash session, but did you listen to the first kid who asked a question? I think it was to Pete Alonso during the broadcast.
Remind me what it was.
Well, Pete was getting interviewed, I think, in the second or third inning of this. So they would Carl Ravitch, Eduardo Perez, David Cohn, they'd be talking to Pete. And then they put one Little Leaguer on the headset to ask Pete a question. And this Little Leaguer's nickname also was Polar Bear, so that's why they put him on the mic. Awesome opportunity. Super cool. Understandably, kid was a little nervous. It took him 20 seconds to get the question out to Pete, and it's 20 seconds of silence in the middle of the inning. I get they're trying to incorporate everyone in, but it wasn't when they were getting the kids on the mic. It wasn't the smoothest operation in the world. Maybe this is just me as a fan from afar finding something to complain about with this Mariners series.
The first 10 minutes of this show, you're sounding a lot like a Karen.
Okay, that's fine. That's fine. We need a little bit of diversity on this podcast, diversity of opinion.
Yeah.
That might be unpopular. And again, I understand they're kids, but like, we're also trying to watch a baseball game.
Well, it's not a radio broadcast. You can see everything that's happening.
That's right. I will just say the silence was like a little awkward. It was a little forced, I'll say. Right. That's what it felt like. Like, ESPN has had, people have beefed with ESPN about these mid-inning interviews for a long time. So when they're adding in these extra like layers to the in-game interview, the mid-inning interview, then like, it stacks up. And I'm not going to be the only person who says something about this.
That's probably right. But all right, I guess you're.
But otherwise, it was great. I love watching the Mariners on national TV. Unfortunately, it just didn't go as well as the last time they played the Mets on Sunday Night Baseball. I liked that outcome a lot better than this one.
Well, yeah, the last time they absolutely throttled them. This time they did not. They did not.
Oh, God, what else from this game? Or what else from this series? I mean, like, the Mets have been so bad. Like, they had been so bad where it's just kind of, like, disappointing when you look at the last two series and see that the Mariners had the starting pitching and lineup advantage 5 of these first 6 games of this road trip and only managed to win 2 of the games.
Yeah.
Like, that's kind of disappointing. The only game where they didn't have both the lineup and starting pitching advantage was when Logan Evans started against the Orioles. And otherwise, the Mariners have had...
That one's probably a wash. Again, like Tomoyuki Sagano, the Mariners should have hit, too.
Right. But I mean in, like, clear advantage, not wash. Advantage. Advantage, they had 5 of 6.
I'm just saying, this is a man who, friend of the pod, and Just Baseball extraordinaire Peter Apple is very, very firmly stamped that he could take deep. Our friend Peter Apple has not played baseball past high school.
Yeah.
That's who they faced on Thursday. They didn't win.
And the Mets weren't rolling out the world's most impressive lineup of starting pitchers either. Yeah, I guess they got their pitching lab figured out, but Sean Manaea, he's not a world beater. Nolan McLean, is that how you say his name?
Think so.
Yeah. On Saturday, making his big league debut, pitched well, and then Clay Holmes tonight.
How does that always happen to the Mariners against guys making their debuts?
Yet they have no problems hitting Tarek Skubal.
I don't get it.
Go figure. Like, Clay Holmes tonight was like on the ropes. They had him. Cole gets a pitch right down the middle with the bases loaded and he pops it up. Like, those are just kind of the things you have to deal with.
Right.
And you're going to have to execute. And the Mariners didn't, and the Mets did against Kirby, who outside of the first time through the lineup got smacked around by the Mets. And it's disappointing because, as I mentioned in our reaction, that like we line up all of these advantages the Mariners have, and you see that George Kirby has a 2.8 ERA in his last 12 starts, and then the Mets smack him around. And it's kind of frustrating. But also, that's just kind of how baseball works sometimes. You're not going to be great every series. Doesn't matter who you play.
So because I don't have a ton of takeaways from this series other than they needed to play better and they needed to take advantage, really in both series they've been on the road for so far, maybe this is a decent time to spend a minute or two here on, spend a minute or two here on something that I think could be a little bit of a dilemma for the Mariners the rest of the way. And that is, we haven't really dug into what a couple of these Mariners starters have looked like the third time through an order this year. And George Kirby pitching the way he pitched on Sunday night feels like a decent time to bring this up because you just said it. Really, after the first time through the order, he started to struggle. And that is, Logan Gilbert and George Kirby are really, really having issues the third time through the order this year. If you want the exact numbers, I'm just trying to make sure I have it right and pulled up here. I know they have this on
reference.
Yeah, for some reason I'm just like blanking. I'm trying to find where it is. Here it is. I got it.
I got it.
So
okay.
George Kirby came into this start on Sunday, posting an 885 OPS against the third time through the order.
Okay.
And he's pitched better as of late. So I think this was actually higher at one point and it's come down. and Logan Gilbert's is over 900. There are opposing hitters OPSing 900 against Logan Gilbert the third time through the order this year in 2025. So if you're somebody that's worried about the Mariners bullpen, this is where this argument could really more come into play, which is if you want George Kirby and Logan Gilbert pitching in the postseason, which they're going to because they are going to line up in that rotation come October, do you run them out a third time through the order knowing the issues they've had third time through this year? Or do you have to try to ask your bullpen, which is already shaky to begin with, to cover extra innings?
I would, for these two specifically, I would rather the two of them be out there than Carlos Vargas or Edward Pizarro.
And that's fine, but you're saying, and if that's what you're saying, these are guys that are nothing short of getting crushed the third time through the order all year. And you're saying you're running that risk.
But we also have examples of last year where Logan Gilbert had a 719 OPS third time through the order. Now, just note this. I feel like that number is just reflective of Logan Gilbert's 2025 season on like the scale of going first, second, third time through the order. He's just in general been not as effective this year. Like there's a reason for that because he's, in inopportune times gotten his pitch count up and gotten hit around a little bit. And that's the big reason why he is not getting to the innings load he was at last year. But even last year, Lyle, he, first, like going first, second, third time through the order is also sort of escalating.
I'm just saying Logan's whip is still under 1 for the year. It's not like he's quote unquote struggled. I understand he hasn't worked deep into games as much this year.
Yeah,
but
and that's the reason right there. Because he's not been as effective second time through against batters as getting them out.
So I say it again. Which side do you take? Not just come the postseason, but the rest of the way during games you really need to win. And I understand if your answer is, I don't want to turn the ball over to Carlos Vargas and other guys in that bullpen. But you're asking two guys that essentially have a 900 OPS against the third time through the order to try to pitch through that order again. That feels like you're playing with fire.
And Kirby, by the way, 737 OPS third time through last year. So both have regressed quite a bit in that case, which it doesn't make that much sense because those two guys are the best equipped out of any Mariners starter to adjust third time through. They have the deepest arsenals, and they have arguably the best command, sans Brian Wu, but Brian Wu doesn't have the depth of pitches those two have, which is why it is kind of puzzling. I'm riding with the starters here. I'm sorry. I don't trust the Mariners bullpen. I don't trust that part of the Mariners bullpen to go out there in the 5th or the 6th inning to get outs. That is the literal weak point of your team. I would rather run with the more talented part of your team in the rotation, pitching in the 5th and 6th inning or 7th inning before turning it over to the bullpen. That's a pretty easy decision for me.
I did just want to play some devil's advocate. I'm with you. If you have to pick one, you're banking on those two to figure it out and give you the run that you need the third time through and improve down the stretch rather than turning it over to those other guys. Because you're right. I understand, like we've talked about on the podcast, that you can win in a postseason with a bad bullpen, like the Rangers did in 23, like the Nationals did in 2019. I'm sure there's other examples. But you're right. If it comes to having a pitch in high pressure situations, you have to ride with the guys that have done it before, and the guys that you are banking on to help make you a threatening team this year. Like and to do that, those are George Kirby and Logan Gilbert. That's who you're leaning on along with your offense to be a threatening team. It's not Carlos Vargas. It's not other guys like that in that bullpen.
And laying out the scenario, we're assuming that the pitchers are throwing well into this game. Like, I don't just want to pull them just because the order is coming up for the third time. What I think about is like a game like tonight where George Kirby gets knocked out second/third time through early in the game. Like, he's not even getting to the 6th inning. We're not talking about pitching to the 6th. He just got knocked around, period, tonight. Instead of like, oh, George gets through 5 innings facing the order 2 times, had a few base runners, but not a ton of them. Would we rather have Vargas or Pizarro or Kirby to go back out there? Kirby. Easy decision.
Yeah, I would too. I do too. I just hope those guys can figure it out a little bit down the stretch because they need length out of those guys. Yeah. You just do.
Yeah.
I don't have that many other takeaways from this series because it was just more that the Mariners didn't play their best baseball. I hope they improve in Philly.
Yeah. And it was, I will say, kind of annoying because every team you needed to lose today lost. Every single one. Cleveland lost. Detroit lost. Houston lost. The
Boston.
Yankees lost.
Boston
Rangers
lost.
lose.
Boston
lost. Everyone you needed to lost.
Yeah.
And the Mariners couldn't take advantage. Now, over the course of the entire weekend, the Mariners didn't lose any ground in any playoff position, which is overall positive and kind of washes out what happened with the Mets. But you would like to win these games because these games are winnable. And you're a better team than the Mets. So, look, I'm not going to freak out because the Mariners lost 2 series. When you look at the roster is good. The roster is good. There's no reason to sit there and use this as a reason to be like, all right, so we were on the mountaintop last week. Now we're back in the gutter because the team couldn't win.
Don't you have a text to read along those lines or a DM we got?
Yes, I do. God,
I'm
gonna find it.
Yeah, okay. So while you pull that up, there's something else that I heard before the game started tonight on Sunday Night Baseball that didn't make any rounds. I guess it didn't get clipped anywhere. But I was watching baseball tonight at about 4 o'clock because that's when the game was supposed to start. Now it got pushed back till about 4:45 Pacific time. But Buster Olney's talking on Baseball Tonight about what he's seen in Williamsport and things he's observed. And he said, in terms of the players interacting with all the Little League kids, he said, I was talking to Dylan Moore earlier, and Dylan Moore was saying that he was playing wiffle ball with some of the kids from Japan. And I talked to him afterwards, and he said, yeah, those kids struck me out like 10 times. And I'm sitting there saying, what? I know it's wiffle ball, and I'm sure they're just messing around. But the irony, maybe it's not even irony, but just the symbolism with that is something.
That Dylan Moore matches up against literal kids and strikes out.
Yeah. I know it's wiffle ball, and I know it's easy to miss with those wiffle ball bats, and maybe Dylan wasn't trying his hardest, but still, the symbolism of that is interesting. We might get to him a little bit more later.
Yeah. Okay, so let me preface what I'm about to read by reiterating my last statement. I am not freaking out after 6 games of subpar play. I'm not going to do that. However, I don't think every Mariners fan thinks the same way. We got a response on Twitter that I have to read. Maybe this is a Frank impression. And by the way, Lyle, #Frank was wrong.
Oh, the Mariners
Mets didn't get swept.
No, the Mariners did not sweep the Mets. Despite what Frank had to say on Friday after the Mariners won, and he was ready to absolutely lose it.
But now he has nothing. He has to be happy this weekend. Okay.
Happy enough.
I don't know
if Frank's ever truly thrilled with the Mets.
There's still only a game up in playoff position, I believe. So, yeah, it's a matter of perspective. Anyways, here's a reply we got. I will leave this person's account nameless. I'm sure if you looked hard enough, you could find it. Beware, there's plenty of profanity in here. This team has no fight or urgency, and they shrivel up, pout, and quit like a bunch of spoiled, entitled pussies when adversity hits. If they have any room to feel sorry for themselves, like they've won anything ever. Losers lose. Everyone else is playing with a win or go home playoff mindset. Well, we look like we want to whine to our mommies about how unfair life is. Most embarrassing follow-up actions in tying for the AL West lead and acting like we won the World Series. When if we win the AL West, it'll just be a 3 seed, no bye, because there's a mix of language in here. No bye because of these piss poor efforts versus the Mets, the Orioles, the sub 500 teams. Heads need to roll with the coaching staff that didn't change one bit when Dan was hired. Mood was just a publicity stunt to save face without making any actual philosophical or strategic changes. So we got Randy batting leadoff to try and hit a home run on every swing because it's all he cares about. Getting his numbers up so he can get paid in free agency. Winning ain't his number one priority, yet he's who we trust to set the tone with a league-leading whiff rate over Cole Young's mature approach of looking to draw walks and battle. That could actually give Cal Julio a runner on when they come up instead of watching a horrible strikeout from a guy swinging out of his shoes with zero situational hitting adjustments.
That guy didn't really take his grammar seriously, did he?
No, that was a tough one for me to read.
There was a lot of mixed words and like improper spelling in there, wasn't there?
Yeah. No periods used.
Yeah, no periods.
It was one giant run-on sentence.
Yeah, with a lot of words mixed up that should have been in other places. Yeah, the grammar on that was really bad. On his end, not your end. But yeah, I guess not all fans can wash this series away and move on. I guess people are maybe we let Frank get too much out into the Mariners ether and he's rubbed off on people.
I think we're bad for releasing that clip on Friday.
For
that
saying
show
that,
clip with Frank. It just reached, like you said, it reached too many people.
Again, we let Frank get too far into the Mariners ether, and he's rubbed off on people. Because we've got people saying things like that. Nobody cares. They want to cry to their mommies, like, instead of playing winning baseball. I mean...
And again, just to think about that, like, 1 week ago, you and I were sitting here having the best time we've ever had as Mariners fans, sans when they beat the Blue Jays in the playoffs. Like, that's it. That was 1 week ago.
Now we got people back to this. Don't you just love fans?
Yeah, like clearly, Lyle, Julio doesn't care enough. He was too busy focusing on which cardboard cutout he was going to ride down the hill in Williamsport today instead of preparing for his at-bats against Clay Holmes. Clearly, that was the case.
Oh, God.
Can we talk about this Hill situation for a second, by the way?
I was going to say we can get to that here in a second. I was trying to think. There was something else within that I was going to rattle off, I thought. But maybe I lost my train.
Do we want to rehash this?
No, I think one's enough airtime for that DM. We don't welcome
no
to being
fight. Everyone else is playing with a win or go home playoff mindset.
I know what it is.
Okay.
I know what it is. I think Frank rubbed off on Mariners fans, not just from our podcast, but also from his Friday reaction when the Mariners won that game and he lost his mind, because the analogy he used after the Mets lost on Friday sounded a lot like that text. And his analogy was, watching the Mets is literally like watching the fucking Wizard of Oz. He said, we've got a manager with no brains, a team with no heart, and a GM with no courage. Which, for those who haven't seen the Wizard of Oz, I'm guessing most of you have, but those are like the three things that the other characters in the movie are searching for: a brain, courage, and a heart. So Frank decides to take his analogy and use it for the Mets.
That is a good one. See, this is why Frank is the best. This is why he's the GOAT.
Dude, every time I say to myself, nobody will ever do it like him again. There could be mad fans on social media through the years. Nobody will ever do it like him ever again. The run he's on is so unprecedented. It just can't ever be repeated.
Do you think people our age who have kids will tell their kids about Frank the Tank?
No.
You don't think so?
Dude, you think they want their kids? You think that is an example?
Maybe as an example of what not to be.
Well,
but then everyone grows up and you're like, you know what was really funny back in the day? Frank the Tank.
Well, dude, he had Diana Rossini on his podcast, which, if there's football fans that also listen to this podcast, you know who she is. If you're not a football fan, she's one of the lead NFL journalists. She works at The Athletic. She breaks a lot of news. She used to be on ESPN. And she goes on Frank's pod, and they're talking about that clip from a couple weeks ago where Frank got caught on camera from up in like the 300 level, melting down and freaking out on the main level of the third base row at a Mets game, like basically on ground level. And he was just yelling and hollering and cursing after a Mets loss. And And Diana says on his podcast, she's like, so I've got 2 kids, and we've actually been practicing this sort of thing recently, how to deal with winning and how to deal with losing. And she said, I'm going to be honest, if I was with my kids and I saw that at a game, I'd look at him and say, who in the world is that guy? That's not who I want my kids watching. And then Jenks' producer says, that's tough love, Frank. What do you have to say? They're doing this pod while a Mets game's going on, and Francisco Alvarez fucks something up, because as soon as he gets asked the question, Frank starts biting the chew toy of his, and he goes, there it is, Francisco Perez. He calls him Francisco O. Perez, like he goes O for all the time. Just starts screaming immediately after the question's asked. So to answer your question, I don't think kids are shown Frank the Tank by their parents.
I think in 25 years, kids will be shown Frank the Tank.
They should just put him in,
That's my prediction.
They should just put him in textbooks.
You know what? I'll show my kids Frank the Tank.
Wow. Good.
And then I'll bring Uncle Lyle along to have him tell the great stories of one Frank Fleming. And then we're gonna show them the video of Frank when he's writing his blog. He's writing his blog about the Mets, and then like every 10 seconds he has to stop and clap and bite something, and then he goes back to typing, type, and then he has to stop again and bite even harder.
That got tweeted out again here on Sunday. It's like Frank's doing a Mets stream tonight, and that video was tweeted with it.
Yeah.
It's like Mets stream. They've been playing terribly, Buster only on the broadcast, and then the video was tweeted out, which we didn't get to that with Frank either. I wish we had. Frank, as much as he despises things like the Mets, Chapel Row, and etc., he also despises Buster only. So, yeah.
If only they were playing the Braves next, too.
Oh, my God. All right.
Oh, wait, are they playing the Braves next? Oh, no, they just played the Braves, sorry.
Yeah.
Because his other least favorite thing of all time is...
the Atlanta Braves.
More specifically.
The chop.
No.
He hates that chant.
Blooper.
Oh, him too. Yeah, Blooper. I mean, he hates everything about the Braves.
And meanwhile, Blooper very strategically got a video with Buster only this year and tweets it at Frank whenever possible.
Dude, that Blooper Twitter account's crazy.
It is really good. It is one of the best ones I've seen. I wish the Moose was that funny.
Dude, the Mariners would never let the Moose make a Twitter account and do that. No way.
Do we want to talk about this Hill situation today with Julio?
Well, there's 2 Mariners away from big league team incidents that we need to talk about. I mean, this one happened with the big league team. It was just at the Little League games in Williamsport. One's with Julio, one's with good old Victor Robles, and we'll get to that. But
Vic, dude.
we'll
talk about that one second.
Save it. But, good Lord. Yeah, so for those who missed it here on Sunday, everybody's hanging out with all the kids at Williamsport before the Mariners-Mets game on Sunday Night Baseball. And this happens every year. This game's been going on for 7-8 years now, and it's a really cool tradition. I think this is why we started with talking about how much I admired Williamsport growing up, because I thought it was insanely cool as a kid. I know all these kids now do too, where big leaguers come to town, they hang out during the morning and afternoon during the Little League World Series, then they go play their game, all the Little League kids get to watch. It's awesome. And a lot of players now like to go slide down the big hill with a cardboard box, which if you didn't know, TJ, or if other people who don't watch the Little League World Series didn't know, that's been a long-standing tradition at Williamsport forever. Kids do it, parents do it, everybody kind of does it. It's a very cool thing to do. All the ESPN personalities seem to do it every year. They love it. So a lot of players do it now. Well, Julio wanted to get in on the tradition, so he slid down the hill with a cardboard box here on Sunday. It was great. He was going pretty fast. He goes downhill. There's a bunch of kids around. They're cheering Julio, 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 and he slides down the hill, and he gets up. And then some security lady happened to slip, fell down the hill in her own right, and nearly takes out his ACL. Now, he's fine. It ended up being fairly light contact, and nothing happened. He wanted to make sure the lady herself was okay, because it was this poor security lady at Williamsport who just happened to slip and fall. But there were a lot of tweets that were basically exactly what I was thinking in my own head going out right after that video got tweeted out, which was... this was almost the most single Seattle Mariners thing to ever happen. Yeah. They almost just had an Edwin Diaz moment in the WBC.
right in prime playoff position, like national televised on camera. Like the Mariners were promoting the crap out of it, but instead of like making a fun video of it, it would have instead been like John Boy Media getting a hold of the video footage and tweeting out, "Here's how Julio Rodriguez tore his ACL at Williamsport. The Mariners season is over now."
Well, dude, did you notice that during the Sunday Night Baseball broadcast, they showed Julio sliding down the hill on the cardboard box?
Yeah.
They cut it off very quickly. It was
you
like
can't have that.
He slid on the cardboard box, gets down to the bottom of the hill. That's the end of the clip.
Look, they're going to keep doing this, but maybe we should space people out a little bit more. There were a lot of kids. I get Julio's popular. There were probably 200 kids combined top and bottom for him. At least. Like there were a lot of people around,
you mean?
On the hill, which means they needed a lot of security and just so many bodies around him for literally just slide down the hill. Why don't we like lighten it up a little bit?
Like put some rope up where you have to stand from afar?
Don't make the rope visible, but like let's make it like it's safe for the kids because they get to slide down on like clear grass. They have like a section they slide down where there's not much interference in the way. Julio was literally like sliding into kids because there were so many people who wanted him.
Well, but that wasn't what ended up nearly taking his
I know,
leg
but
now.
the reason the security guard is there is because there are so many kids around.
I know. That could have been... We don't need to spend that much time on this, but I'm very glad he had fun and that the whole team had fun. I'm very glad he's okay, but man, that was probably inches away from being a lot worse.
And to be fair, the security lady probably got a bigger brunt of the fall than Julio got.
Right.
So, I'd like to bring myself down to remember that in a situation like this where there are two human beings involved, not one human being on a pedestal and a player and a security lady. Oh, I don't care about the security lady at all. No, let's try and make it safer for everybody too, so this doesn't happen.
Yes.
Thank you. That's
Also,
my PSA.
Also, if the Mariners star center fielder could not have his legs taken out in the middle of a playoff run, that'd be awesome.
Yeah, that would be a lot better than how it usually goes in Mariners history. Thank you.
Seriously, could you imagine everybody would be sitting here and saying here on Monday morning if that's
I would have said the season's over.
Dude,
I'm dead serious.
We would have for two people that just had Frank on their own podcast, we would have been Frank here on this show for Monday morning if that had happened. Because it's not like Julio had his knee lock up on a play in the outfield. It would be awful in its own right, but you can't control those things when they happen. Because that's just that happens in baseball sometimes. It unfortunately happened to Johnny Farmello during a game last summer. But again, if it had happened in that way, the narratives around it, oh my God. Again, we would have been melting down on this podcast if that had actually happened in that way. That is literally the Edwin Diaz situation, except it's probably worse. Eddie at least is celebrating a win that they just got on a field by his own teammates. You know what? Actually, you know what that would have reminded me of? This just popped into my head. Back in 2015? It was somewhere between 2014 and 2016. Derek Holland of the Rangers missed an entire year because he tripped over his cat in his house, fell down a flight of stairs and destroyed his knee. It would have been like that.
Would have not been very good.
No.
That's to say the least. It would have been very similar, except ramped up a little bit to our Victor Robles episode earlier this season. Foreshadowing.
Yeah. Which, if you have not seen this video and you're not online and you don't know what we're talking about with this Julio thing, it's not very hard to find. If you just go on Twitter or go on Instagram and just type in Julio Rodriguez, Williamsport, or whatever. It's John Boy tweeted it out. Other accounts tweeted it out. You can find it.
Yeah. Let's talk about the other scenario today for the Seattle Mariners. You might have heard that Victor Robles is on a rehab assignment with the Tacoma Rainiers right now. He needs to get 50 plate appearances in. Great. So he's got all these games he's got to play. He has had a tough week down in Vegas. He's been hit a handful of times, and today he got sick of it. Victor Robles got hit by a pitch in the third inning of Sunday's game and proceeded to have one of the greatest crash outs I think I've ever seen in any level of baseball. It was truly something.
Oh, you want me to now detail it out? All right, I'll paint the picture for people. So I will say this. The guy that hit Victor Robles is a guy by the name of Joey Estes. He's been a big leaguer. He spent time in the majors. He has hit Victor Robles now twice this week while the Mariners have been playing in Vegas, I believe. Yeah, they're in Vegas. He's been hit twice this week by Joey Estes. He's now been hit 4 or 5 times total, and Estes also hit him in the big leagues last year. So Joey Estes has hit Robles 3 times. Mm-hmm. And today, when Robles gets hit, he crouches down for a minute, maybe he's in a little bit of pain, and then he just sees red. I mean, he just snaps. He chucked for like, if you have somehow not seen this yet, which same thing, it's not hard to find if you go anywhere online and try to find this Victor Robles video. He chucks his bat out toward the mound, like holding it by the handle, chucks it out toward the mound, and then tries to charge the mound in fury. Bench is clear. Robles has to be held back. Everybody has to be separated. Then Victor Robles goes back to the dugout and totally channels his best Raisel Iglesias from 2022 when he takes a big bucket of sunflower seeds and not Gatorade. It was like sunflower seeds and gum, and chucks those out onto the field as he's in the dugout walking back toward the clubhouse. So Victor Robles, again, like you said, gets hit, chucks his bat at the mound, tries to charge the mound, bench is clear, everybody's separated, then he chucks a big bucket of sunflower seeds onto the field as he's leaving the game.
Vic is one of the nicest people, supposedly, or he is, per everyone who's talked to him.
I mean, he's
in the Mariners org.
He's always nice when we talk to him.
Yeah. So to see that, it's like shocking. The level of just crash out. It was the definition of crash out he had on that baseball field. It has been a while since I've seen someone snap like that and go to the levels that Victor Robles did. Like, think of what needs to go through your head for the decision after you get hit by a pitch, no matter how frustrating it is or how much it hurts, that the decision is going to be, I'm going to pick up my bat and chuck it at the pitcher, then I'm going to charge the mound. From home plate. He didn't try and get closer. First thing he did, snap, boom. Tries to throw it at the pitcher. And, well, he got out of his system. I'm glad he did, because he's probably going to get suspended now for it, probably for like a week. But this does not benefit his rehab assignment at all.
Does not benefit does not benefit his rehab assignment.
I was worried he's going to get hurt again. Like, what if he hurt his shoulder? The comments saying, looks like his shoulder's okay, got a kick out of him. Not going to lie. I thought that was kind of funny. I thought that was good. I was kind of worried, though, when he picks up the bat and he decides to throw it again, that he's going to hurt his shoulder. Like, that's more weight than you have to throw a baseball with. Like, that's can't be good when that's what you have to do. So, we're on different sides of this. I was not a huge fan of what Vic did. I totally understand it. He's been hit a lot this week. It hurts when you get hit. It hurts when you get hit by the same pitcher. And it's frustrating. It is so frustrating. Could he have just thrown his bat anywhere else? Anywhere else besides at the pitcher? Because guess what? He gets tossed out of the game, cusses out the pitcher, maybe walks halfway out to the mound, maybe even runs at the pitcher. He might not get suspended at all because he doesn't touch him, right? So maybe 1 game suspension, which is not that big a deal. Chucks his bat on the ground, runs halfway out to the mound, screams at the pitcher, gets his frustrations out, boom, done. But he instead throws his bat cleanly at the pitcher and will earn himself an extra at least week of suspension just because of where he decided to throw his bat. It's not going to have the biggest impact in the world on the Mariners, but to say it has no impact is totally wrong. Whether he gets suspended a week right now or a week once he gets back to the big leagues, that's a week less of games you get from Victor Robles. And I'll tell you what, it's better to have Victor Robles on this roster than some of the other guys on here.
Can we just clear the narrative on one thing? Victor Robles is not being suspended 45 games or these insane numbers that people are throwing out as guesses today after seeing this all ensue. That is not happening. He is not getting suspended 40 games for this or whatever people are throwing out there, because I'll give you a couple of examples. This happened, not this exact thing, but remember in 2012 between Manny Machado and the A's when he chucked his bat and a fight ensued? Now, he chucked it down the third baseline. People guessed it was meant to be chucked at the pitcher, but it went down the third baseline as a result, physically. Manny got 5 games for that. Chucking a bat, got 5 games. Jose Ramirez basically clocked and destroyed Tim Anderson in a fight a couple years ago in Cleveland. J-Ram got 3 games for that. A clean punch to the face falls to the ground in a fight. 3 games. Victor Robles is not being suspended 40 games. He'll probably get somewhere between 5 and 10 games, but let's chill out with the whole he may not play the rest of the season. That's not going to happen. I just got to talk people off the ledge about that for a second. You would really, really have to, not that this wasn't crazy, but you would really have to do something extreme to not play the rest.
What you would have to do is you'd have to go out to the mound with the bat and try and beat up the pitcher.
Yeah, it would be like if you went out there with the mound, yes, and started swinging your bat at people. Right. That would be crazy.
That would be crazy. That is not what Victor did. But what Victor did was, in my opinion, for a big leaguer, it just can't happen. Can't happen.
What
are you smiling at?
I thought it was electric.
It was electric, but it can't happen. You can understand everything that happens with the situation and how this could be so frustrating with Vic, and still say no. We need you, and you chucked your bat at the pitcher. Throw it into the ground.
I do want to try to detail a couple things out for people who are probably going to lash out at Victor. And I already used the word Karen on the podcast today. I'm going to do it again because I'm sure we're going to get some Karens that are going to tell us that Victor's incredibly selfish and didn't think about his
Welcome to the club. Welcome to the club, guys. We're all Karens here.
So I'm not saying you're a Karen about this, but I guarantee you we are going to get people that comment and say, selfish, doesn't care about the team, only thinks about himself. I don't want him in a Mariners uniform ever again. What?
But you did call me a Karen earlier in the podcast, so that's
fine. You're right, I did, because you were talking about you don't want Little League World Series kids asking questions on the broadcast. So yeah.
No. Nope. Let the kid casters do it instead. They were good, by the way. Anyways, go ahead.
So I'm sure we're going to get comments like that. And just to try and talk some, is sense the right word? Maybe not, because I'm sure there's a lot of people that are going to disagree with what Victor did. But I will say, when you highlight out that Victor Robles had a gruesome injury to start the year in San Francisco, he got carted off. He has not been able to do baseball activity until the last 6 weeks or so. He spent a lot of time just sitting and resting and not being able to do anything. He was in Arizona. Arizona during the year is very isolating. There's not a lot of people down there. There's certainly not a lot of big leaguers down there. And then, every day and the grind and the hours that you put into rehabbing an injury like that, it's not just you snap your fingers and here you are on a rehab assignment. It is hours of workouts and recovery and time and rest and, hot tubs, cold tubs, in the training room every day for months, all while his team is out trying to contend for a title here and contend to get in the postseason. And you know how badly he wants to be out there and helping them. Then after all that time accrues, he finally is ready to get out on a rehab assignment and is inching near his return. And he gets hit by a pitch. And it's not like he got hit in the butt or hit in the leg. He gets hit in the wrist, which can easily take you out. Then he gets hit again. And then he gets hit again. And then he gets hit again. All in the course of 4 days. These are things that can just end your season after months and months and months of time and effort that you put into getting back on a field and helping your team because you're so passionate about winning. And then this happens again today against the guy that's hit him 3 times in the last calendar year. So you can disagree with him chucking the bat if you're out there and saying it was wrong. But to say that there was nothing that warranted that, well, that ain't right either, because to see Victor Robles get hit that many times and to have one quick moment like that end your season and wipe out all these months of rehab that you've done, I'd be fucking pissed if I was Victor Robles in that situation. And sometimes you just snap. It's human nature. You just snap sometimes.
Everything you just said is right. And I have no problem with him reacting to the situation. My problem is 100% with the bat toss. Because that's what makes the suspension. It's not throwing the seeds. It's not screaming at the pitcher. It's literally throwing the bat. Anything but throwing the bat. All those things you said are true. Don't throw the bat. Don't do it. Don't do it. It sucks. You know why pitchers sometimes are in AAA? Because they have problems throwing strikes. And you're going to get hit.
Well, dude, where the fuck are these umpires in AAA? How do you get hit that many times in a series and nobody stepped in? As usual, I think this could be another case of umpires being losers and not doing their job. How does he get hit 4 times in a series and nothing gets done?
The umpires aren't throwing the pitches. What are the umpires going to do?
Throw somebody out, issue warnings, anything.
But that's not going to change Victor Robles crashing out once he gets hit again.
Well, it might have if he felt like these umpires were stepping in and saw there was a problem throughout the week.
But what if someone else stepped in and hit him on Sunday instead?
Look, I can't foresee every possible outcome because it's just guessing. But I'm just saying if earlier in the week somebody had stepped in from the umpiring crew and issued warnings or something, maybe he doesn't do that.
I don't think this has anything to do with the umpires.
Well, regardless, they should be doing their jobs.
I think A's pitchers need to throw the ball over the plate more, and I think Vic needs to not throw the bat at the pitcher. Like that's the scenario here.
If Mike Trout was hit 4 times in a series, nothing would be issued?
I'm sure something would be issued, but we're talking about AAA here. This is not the big leagues.
I'm still just saying. You get hit that many times, especially when you know it's a big leaguer on a rehab assignment. Where are these umpires?
Sometimes pitchers are just not good enough to always throw the ball over the plate, and they'll hit guys. So, even if there was a warning issued, if the guy's throwing a 2-seamer in on Vic's hands and it hits him, it's not intentional. It's not going to stop them from throwing that pitch.
Okay,
clearly.
But it's happened 5 times. It didn't happen twice. It happened 5 times.
It was not going to deter the A's from hitting him. They're not trying to hit him on purpose. They're throwing it because he stands on top of the plate and they're trying to bust him inside. And when you do that, you get hit.
I guess. I still would have stepped in if I was an umpire, but whatever.
And they could have done that, but I don't think that changes anything that happens today. I don't think so. I don't think Vic is thinking the umpires are looking out for him because they issue a warning, pitcher gets tossed out of the game anyways, and Vic still gets drilled in the hands again. And he still crashes out because he's pissed and he wants to stop getting hit in the wrists.
Vic needs people in his corner. You know what? I stand with Victor Robles.
Okay. That's fine. That's fine. We'll be on opposite sides of this.
Okay. The pitcher didn't actually get hurt. Estes didn't actually get hurt. The bat didn't hit him. So he's fine. And for that reason.
Because it's not easy to throw a bat 60 feet.
Exactly. So, nobody got hurt. If somebody had gotten hurt, maybe I wouldn't be sitting here saying this. But because nobody got hurt, besides Victor Robles, I stand with Victor Robles.
Good. I'm glad. When you see him in the dugout next time, you should just walk up to him and say, I stand with you.
I'll do the whole guy on the airplane thing. I want to shake his hand.
Let's wrap up with your favorite subject, Lyle. Spend a couple minutes on this. You talked about this on Friday when it happened, but we have to acknowledge it since we have not podcasted since this moment. Mariners activated Luke Raley, and we talked about some of the scenarios, what would happen when Raley and Robles would eventually be ready for the Mariners roster. And the scenario that we didn't want to happen happened on Friday, where Raley gets activated and the corresponding move is Miles Mastrobuoni gets sent down to Tacoma and Dylan Moore stays on the Mariners roster. They keep doing it. They don't want to cut him. There were some people online on Friday justifying it as look, when you have the option to option somebody or DFA, the options are you can send someone down or you can cut somebody. You're always going to send the person down. Sure, in June, we're halfway through August now. It does not make any sense, right? I don't need to keep rehashing why we don't need Dylan Moore playing for the Mariners, playing in this lineup. But it is just kind of frustrating to see it keep going and keep getting reassured that these are the decisions they want to make, which I don't agree with at all.
You just made this point to me before we started recording, so I'll just turn it around back to you so everybody can hear it. If you're the Mariners, are you comfortable with Dylan Moore playing in games?
My answer to that question is no.
Then he shouldn't be on the roster.
Right. I'm comfortable with Mastro playing in the role he's supposed to be in. Demo, I'm not. Because if he has to come in and run, then he might have to hit. I don't want him hitting. His defense is not good enough to justify putting him in the game.
No, and especially with his showing in Baltimore the other night, like he's had problems on defense too.
Yeah.
It's at the point where you're right. Like I'm okay with Miles Mastrobuoni playing once a week and coming off the bench. That's the role he's in. He's the 26th guy on the roster. He's the last guy on the bench. And that role he fits perfectly fine. But if you're the Mariners, are you comfortable with Dylan Moore playing games? It feels like your answer is the same as the two of ours and a lot of people's, which is no, because he essentially never plays anymore.
Mm-hmm.
And if that's the case, and you're not comfortable with him getting regular playing time to some level, then yeah, it doesn't make much sense for him to still be on the roster. I mean, look at this. Since May the 18th, Dylan Moore is hitting .099. His WRC plus is 12. That's in a 3-month stretch. If you extrapolate it a couple days later and go to what I believe is the 28th, Dylan Moore in that time has a negative 26 WRC plus. That is nearly 3 months where he's been 26% below league average. In that stretch, Dylan Moore's hitting .048. His OPS is 242, and he's striking out over 52% of the time. This is 3 months. Donovan Solano did this for about a month. The Mariners did not cut him because it's early in the year and they wanted a clubhouse presence and they wanted him to turn things around. And to some extent, even though he hasn't been perfect, even though he hasn't been great, he has from where he was in the first month. This is 3 months of a sample where Dylan Moore is putting up a negative 26 WRC plus. Again, like I hate doing this and having to be in a position where we have to talk about people's jobs because these are people's livelihoods. But when you have 35 games left in the year, the best roster has to be on the field. And I just don't understand why the Mariners are toying around with options over just putting the best team on the field.
It does not make any sense. I don't see the controllability of players at this point of the season, especially since the deadline, you weren't looking at control at all. You didn't care about controllability of players and options and stuff. No, you just went and added the best players that were available for X amount of time. Like, Dylan Moore is going to be a free agent after this year. No matter what you do, he walks out the door at the end of the year and goes on the open market. Whether you cut him now or whatever. It doesn't matter. Actually, going around in a circle with this. So that point did not make much sense. I apologize to everyone who had to just listen to that right there. But it's not the right time of year to be thinking about we need to utilize our options and preserve as many players as possible. Because if the guy's not going to play anyways, then it doesn't really seem like a point right now to keep him. Does not.
Is there a world they even put him on the playoff roster? Because the rosters are going to expand in September, and then you get the actual playoff roster, which will be smaller than the September roster because it goes back to the normal 26-man. Will they actually put Dylan Moore on a playoff roster?
I hope not.
That'll be
what is he doing on the playoff roster?
Their justification would probably be to come off the bench and run and play defense in a pinch. I don't know.
I just can't buy it, man. Just put Ben.
I can't buy it.
Put Ben on the roster.
I can't buy it. You're asking me what the Mariners' justification would be.
Speaking of Ben, by the way.
Oh, yeah, he's actually like hitting homers down in AAA now.
Yeah, he opened up his stance a little bit this week and proceeded to hit 3 bombs. He had a 2-homer game.
It's crazy.
He was hitting some big EVs too. I was saying that, but we can talk about Ben later this week after we get some more games under our belt. But regardless, I really hope that scenario doesn't even come up. The Mariners should not give themselves a chance to make a decision then in October what to do with Dylan Moore. The decision should already be made. Yeah, that's what it should be.
And for anybody arguing, well, they need right-handers on the roster, not if you're flat out not hitting either side of a platoon. Not if you have a negative 26 WRC plus for nearly 3 months.
Yeah.
He has still 3 hits in the last, essentially, 3 months. By the way, he got a hit on Friday. He has 1 hit in June. He had 1 hit in July. He now has 1 hit in August. Will he get another hit in August? Yes or no?
No.
He will not.
No, because he shouldn't be playing in August. Again,
Well,
under what justification would Dylan Moore get an at-bat right now? I'm serious.
I don't know, but he started earlier this week.
Dude, you could put... Who's like the biggest lefty-lefty platoon split guy the Mariners have had in our lives?
I don't know, Adam Lind?
Sure. Like, Adam Lind is better against lefties than Dylan Moore currently is.
It's really bad.
There's just no way. There's no way. I'm sorry. You can't justify it. And I don't know whose decision it ultimately is that Dylan Moore is still here, but it just doesn't make much sense. When you've made it your priority for 20 to 25 other spots on your roster to put the best possible players out there, understanding what's at stake this season, and then for your 26th man, you're just like, eh. That part puzzles me.
Doesn't make any sense. It doesn't. And yeah, like I wonder if they'll just start letting Luke Raley hit the lefties over Dylan Moore even, because, you know, we know Raley hasn't been the greatest against left-handed pitching either. It doesn't... Again, I hate to do this, but we're at a point where you have to talk about it because you need every spot on that roster down the stretch of a season into the postseason, and to send Miles Mastrobuoni down, who I'm not saying has lit the world on fire, but has been a perfectly capable utility player off the bench as a last guy on the roster. It doesn't make much sense at this point. And I don't know whose decision it is, to your point, because these roster decisions are made as a unit. It is front office and manager. It is not the front office one day saying, hey, we just yanked this guy off your roster. These decisions get made together. So is this Jerry and Justin fighting for Dylan Moore to stay on the roster? Or is this Dan banging the drum to keep him on the roster, and that's why they haven't made the move?
It's not Moneyball.
No, it's not Moneyball at all. And you hear about Dan Wilson all the time that one of his traits is he has unwavering faith in his guys, which I'm sure the players really appreciate. I'm sure there's a big reason why players love playing for Dan Wilson. But has it gotten to the point where it is his unwavering faith has turned into blind faith, where he just won't let a guy go? Because they have to see these numbers, right? I mean, you know the front office does, but like the coaching staff, they have to see these numbers that we're seeing too.
I'm sure they see it. I'm sure.
So I don't.
It's just a question of whether or not they feel like it's enough for an actionable decision. We think so, but the organization that is the one that makes the decision doesn't feel that way yet.
Okay, but what do you mean think? He has one hit every month for the last 3 months. Again, his WRC plus is -26 since since May the 28th.
There are always things that you and I will never know about that goes on behind those doors with players, coaches, front office. Always things. The only possible thing I could think about for the reason he's still here is it's one of those things. Because from everything we can see as fans, there's no justification for it. But it's the same thing with Solano, right? There's a reason everyone wanted Solano cut at the beginning of the season, but
that one you can justify a little bit more because it was very, very early, and despite him having about as bad a month as you could possibly draw up, often with a guy like that, you probably don't cut him a month in. Now, with somebody like Tommy LaStella, if people are going to make that reference, he was only there because Dylan Moore was injured to start the year in 23, and once he was ready, that's when they let LaStella go. He was never really supposed to be on that roster. That was never the intention. Now, he became a big meme in that month, but he was never really supposed to be on that roster. With this, it's different, and it's different than the Solano thing because Solano was bad early in the year and then finally started to turn it around. Now we're at the home stretch here. It's not a 1 month stretch where Dylan Moore struggled. It's 3. It's everything since April. And I don't know what the justification is at this point.
And to be honest, those two are kind of backwards because Demo was great in April.
Right.
So, great in April, bad for the next 3 months. Solano, bad the first month, then fine since then. But the Solano thing I was referencing is that we didn't know until, mid-May, and Hyphen comes out and he's just talking up how great of a clubhouse guy Solano is. we hadn't heard anything about any of that. We guessed that was an idea for signing him in the offseason, but we didn't actually know any of the impact until a month and a half into the season. Like, it's like those little things that we might be unaware of. But at this point, as we've talked about, if it's something clubhouse related, like, you have Gino. So, like, I feel like you should be able to survive 35 games to make your roster better if you're sacrificing some semblance of clubhouse
and
hoorah or something.
And if Solano really is that great a clubhouse guy, which by all accounts he is, you still have Solano for now. Yeah. You have Gino and Solano.
Yep.
I don't know, man.
I don't know. We'll see.
I really don't like doing this and having to talk about people's jobs because it's people's livelihoods, it's people's families, and I understand. But it is a point in the year where it's warranted. It's justified.
Yeah.
It's not like, again, he didn't have 3 bad weeks where, I don't know, he had a 500 OPS. This is 3 months where it's basically unfathomable numbers.
It's not a big leaguer.
No, it's not. Unfortunately, it's not.
And, you know, because of the Robles crash out and the looming suspension he'll have, Dimo's probably bought himself another week on the roster. I'm serious.
Unless they call Ben back up, yeah.
Yeah. We'll talk about Ben this week. He honestly, if he has another great week in Tacoma, maybe a Friday subject. I mean, I'm serious. Ben Williamson opened up his stance a little bit, and then all of a sudden has 2 homers in a game.
And then he hit a third. He had 3 this week.
Yeah, it's like, okay, this version of Ben I like.
Dude, Tage, sound that alarm. Get the Batman signal out for all the Ben Williamson stands. Like, what's the sound effect? Get the Batman signal out for all the Ben Williamson stands to tune in this week.
It's going to be our highest rated episode ever.
Oh, it might. It might. All right. That'll wrap it up. That'll just about do it for this edition of the Marine Layer Podcast. You guys know the drill. If you want to listen to the full form podcast, you can do so wherever you get your podcast, whether it's audio. And if you listen on audio, please download, please rate and review 5 stars. It really does help if you do. Leave a review. If you're watching on YouTube, like, comment, and go hit that subscribe button. The best way you can support the channel is just hitting subscribe on YouTube. Then it gets videos out there to people more. You guys are notified whenever we post. So please go and do that. Everything else is over at our website. It's our one-stop shop, marinelayerpod.com, from our merch to our Patreon to our live show schedule, which, again, this upcoming Saturday over at the Hall on Occidental, post-game after the A's game on Saturday is our next live show. We'll love to see you there. We're going to be hanging out, having drinks, taking questions from you guys, interacting with you guys. It's going to be a blast. It was a blast last month after we did it after a game. We're really looking forward to doing it again, and we would love, love, love to have you out there. So that is this Saturday over at the Hall on Occidental. All that's over at our website, and then you can find us all across social media at Marine Layer Pod. That's TJ. I'm Lyle. As always, we thank you guys for tuning in. We'll talk to you soon.